everyone, Joe here from ActionX. Welcome to What's in the Tube, or welcome back. If this is your 11th Matlock episode review for Season 2, hope you're doing well. Hope you're staying safe out there in the big old world. Yeah, I want to apologize. My content release schedule has been all over the place lately. I do apologize. Sadly, it isn't something that is going to get rectified for a bit, so I do apologize. Please be patient as we are trying to catch up on everything in the intermediate. Again, I do apologize. We should be back to a bit of a regular schedule in the next coming weeks. And we'll move on to some exciting things as we get closer to the summer. But for the time being, just be patient. It's been a very adjusting spring for everyone. Obviously not just for me, but for everyone in the world. So I hope everyone again is doing well. We are over here. But with all that being said, obviously it's been a while for Matlock. I remember when I thought this episode was going to come out now almost a month ago. No, not a month ago. Yeah, no, almost a month ago. I thought it was going to come out. Then I was unaware that the show was going to go on another mini hiatus for 2 weeks, which I'm just like, y'all just came back for 2 episodes and then you go on another hiatus. Like, you might as well just have waited until now. I'm not sure if there was any sort of larger scheduling conflicts. I have no idea, to be honest with you, but regardless, we were off the air for 2 weeks, so when I thought I had to shoot Matlock, I'm like, oh, perfect, I'll just go right back into Rookie and be caught up with it, and now I'm backed up on 2 Matlock episodes again. It's just irony how the way the world works. But, we're back, fully, back into the story, and now that we're kind of, I believe, no, we're not there yet. We're at the last 5-ish episodes, I believe now. I could be wrong by math. I think next episode will be the beginning of the 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yeah, because I think the season's only 16 episodes. So, yeah, that makes about sense. Yeah, so we are now on the cusp of the end of the season. And honestly, how the way this episode ends and just kind of, once more kind of re-solidifying certain new connections, whether it's implied or just suggested. I think honestly it really does make for an all-inclusive episode. I think I love the fact this was kind of led by the supporting cast this week, where not to say the main core cast hasn't done anything, but anyone that's not main cast material was kind of being lifted up by the support and the performance of the supporting cast. And I think honestly it made for a much rounder episode. And hey, I'm always down for more of my feds people showing up in my larger TV universe. I'm always down for that. But with all that being said, let's go for the Butcher recap and talk about this week's episode of Matlock. So I believe we begin with, damn, this is how stretched out my brain is lately. I want to say, yeah, so it is officially Maddie and Edwin's 50th anniversary eve, and I'm just like, I keep forgetting that they're much older. So I'm like, 50th anniversary. Like, for context, I am watching the Malcolm in the Middle revival miniseries, and I'm just like, first of all, them going 40 years is like, first of all, that's how old I am. Okay, I'm not 40, but I'm almost 30, and on top of that, the characters have been married for 40 years, and it just makes me kind of feel like I'm getting there in the end. Like, the fact that the stuff that I used to watch when I was a kid is now starting to get the nostalgia revival treatment. That is just crazy. First of all, that is just something that hasn't really resonated in my mind yet. And there's going to be more eventually, as I get older. And again, by the time, hopefully when I have kids, that maybe they'll be watching something that is being revived that I used to watch as a kid. But the fact, to go back to the point, that's two completely different things. Maddie and Edwin are celebrating 50 years. I believe originally they wanted to go to Paris for just a brief getaway, and just enjoy themselves, enjoy the specialty. Maddie's already requested off with Olympia so she can attend. Obviously, even though they're in the throes of a massive investigation, they're still very much in love, and still at least Maddie's trying her damn best to kind of give Edwin the time of day, even though this investigation has kind of went through a lot of stopgaps along the way. So I believe from that point onward, so they're set on that, they're ready to go. We get into the office, and we don't in the office just quite yet. And I remember the episode. So after last episode review, Shay got arrested for supposedly bribing a jury member. Obviously, this is coming off the throes of the merger, and then them trying to find any sort of way to kind of get rid of their talent pool. to cut down on the necessary severance, like more higher severance they'll have to do post merger. Olympia sadly tried her damn best to use all their connections, but it does not work. It has not worked, and considering the fact that it's a federal offense, they're actually going to transfer her over to the much larger holding facility until her trial tomorrow, which obviously Shay's like, still Shay, still very much like angry, doesn't want to be here. Like, I should be going home now. And Olivia's like, we couldn't do that for you. You are sadly going to have to wait until tomorrow to do our best to get you on parole. Which again, not on parole, on bail. Then we cut to the next morning where, like, again, everyone's, talking to everyone's like, oh my God, one of our own is being accused and, like, she's actually locked up. So this is a real credible thing. And that's when the Edwin stuff comes in. Now I remember now. And then we come back over to the office where, immediately the team's getting ready, like, to prepare for Shay, for his defense. And once again, we're getting back into, the new rigmarole with Sarah not being quite pleased with the aesthetics of the one and only Hunter. Yes, after 3 episodes, I finally know the guy's name. I told y'all, takes me a while to know names. So I don't have to call him the bro doc anymore. So I'm like, bro lawyer. So, it's been a work in progress. It's just usually just like, whenever, like, you can't really replicate. I still remember, like, as an analogy, I remember when I watched Pair of Kings back in 2010. Again, another thing. Like, will Pair of Kings ever get a revival? No, probably not. I don't think so. I think between Mitchell Musso and I don't even know where Doc Shaw is now. I'm like, I haven't even thought of the man in so many years. I'm never going to look him up after this episode. I'm going to look him up. But yeah, so like, just like when one person leaves the show for whatever reason and you're trying to fill that void, it's not exactly the same thing. Like, there's going to be an adjustment period till they eventually are used to each other. And that's kind of like Sarah's motif now, because like, as she's still harboring some resentment towards Hunter for kind of like usurping the research position that her and formerly the associate formerly known as Billy used to occupy. So she's not really quite pleased with that. I believe... I know we have an aside where Maddie and Julian are setting up their next post I Forgive You trip voyage, which is back to the actual investigation at hand. Now that they know the head researcher that would have published the Wellbrexa matter, they know her address, they know where she lives, they've done a little bit of social media research, so they managed to finally find out where she is. It's somewhere in Massachusetts. So while Olympia is busy with the Shay stuff, her and Julie can go pay a visit up the state lines to go meet her and talk to her to see if there's anything that she could disclose about it. So they're planning that, and again, obviously last week they kind of are in a good position where, like, obviously Maddie's have some reservations, of course, not gonna fully dismiss Julian's position in what he had done before, but it definitely is letting go a little bit. However, sadly, when we do get to that trial, and obviously immediately Olympia is just trying to get this entire matter thrown out. Like, under what circumstances are you blaming a credited member of the law for supposedly claiming that she bribed a member of the jury that we were just in the courtroom for a couple days ago? And the prosecutors said, no, we do. We have video footage proving that Shay was present at a bar restaurant with the person who came forward with it, this local PI, who apparently was on the jury board at the time period. That's still like 100% not clear, to be honest with you. But yeah, no, so he is, he's there, and he is proving, like, yeah, no, and then we had a brief conversation, a little bit of flirtation. They go back into the bathroom, and then he comes out with a very thick envelope that is presumed to be the bribe money in hand, which, again, by circumstantial viewing and like, okay, well, that's a pretty bad eyesight, but obviously there's so much context missing. Maybe it was just a hookup, and maybe... I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. And obviously Shay's kind of baffled by this because, like, she confirmed, yeah, I was at that restaurant. I was having dinner there, but that doesn't mean, like, I was really, like, like, doing anything with the man. Like, I mean, we made a very light conversation and I used the bathroom. But sadly, because of just the circumstantial evidence, they're going to go forward with the trial. And sadly, Shay will be held on trial for this case. And Olympia's like, okay, prepare for it, like ready to get back in there, ready to like fight the case. But sadly, however, she does have a meeting with the Wolf, played by Feds veteran from the Rookie Feds, from when we used to review it a few years ago. Love it when we get to pop them up. And I'm saying my dude, like, you gotta go back on Feds. Like, you gotta reach up to Alex Hardy. Like, look, man, well, you got almost all the crew there. Like, get me and Simone back in there. I'm like, we miss y'all. We really miss y'all. Like, make it work. Make it work. But yeah, so now they go back into it. So apparently he's there to kind of let Olympia know, yeah, right now we're not going to let the senior partners get involved in this matter. So even if they were like working together before everything happened, even if this was, Olympia's original case, right now, because Olympia is a senior partner, we're not pushing further into possibly getting Shay further in. So, pass it on to Maddie or to Hunter. Let them take the case because they're just regular level associates, or junior associates. That's the best we're going to do in this matter. But as of right now, we are pulling out from a leadership standpoint. She's still not dismissed yet. Senior's still covering her back a little bit. Even the merger ladies is still like, you know what? This would be the perfect chance. Let's let her go. Let's have her figure this out. This would be a perfect exit strategy. And it's like, nope, Senior's at least going to give her the benefit of the doubt and giving her a junior associate to run her case. But other than that, that's the best we're going to do right now. So sadly, because Hunter is still relatively new, he just left the floater pool, it has to be Maddie. But sadly, the jury date commences on her anniversary date with Edwin, which she was already supposed to be off for. Obviously, Maddie's pleading her case, like, this can't be done. Let me, just give it to Hunter. Like, let's do something else. And Olympia's like, there's nothing I can do. My hands are tied on this one. Like, sad to say, you'll have to run the case. You need to be here. I'm very sorry. At least as like to get something off your back, me and Julian will go to Massachusetts and get the researchers' words on record, and at least to alleviate your burden. But Maddie's like, yeah, but I should have already done that already. I should be out there now, getting this out of the way. But now here we are, like in the middle of things. So Maddie has no choice but to oblige, because again, even though that of everything, she wants to give Shay at least the benefit of the doubt, because Shay's, obviously claiming in her own way that she's innocent. She has nothing to do with it. Like, yeah, it was very stressful circumstances. Like, they need to win this case to have another win, and Shay's book to continue to showcase to her, to Jacobson Moore, that I am a valuable asset to your team. Do not let me go. Cases that I'm involved with now are wins. Like, we'll win the case. So Maddie decides to take the case, and they, at least as a middle ground, decide to bring back Sarah on as temporary research consultant. But however, her and Hunter sadly get into blows again over, Hunter's like taking it the chill route, and obviously, Sarah's being really gun-ho about this. We cut back over to, I forgot where we cut back over to. Where Maddie goes back to Edwin to tell her that she's going to take Shay's case. Olympia can't sign off on it. And obviously, 100%, this is one of those rare moments where, like, Edwin is right. This is your 50th anniversary of your wedding. 100%, he's going to feel emotional about it. It's your 50th. You reached half a century together. Like, some people don't even get that far, And it's like, you're blessed to have that. Like, you may not even get to 60. I'm not trying to be mean or anything about their age, but you never know with life. You never know. But no, he has 100% a point. Like, you had a choice. You could have said, no, I already have plans. It's my 50th anniversary. I'm going to go. But you chose not to. So, okay. And obviously he goes away very angry, very upset, and, very disappointed. And obviously Maddie has kind of really no choice in the bargain bin with that one. We cut to the next day. Maddie attempts to kind of spoon with Edwin, trying to get a nice kiss in, but he's not budging. And as a result, without any choice, Maddie just decides to leave. But she decides to leave a very sweet note for him, in order for him to comprehend, that, hey, look, it may seem like right now I'm pulling away, but really it's not. It's, I am sadly in this position where I have to do what I'm about to do, but it doesn't take away from how I feel about you and how much I generally just want to be able to spend the rest of our golden years together. And as a result of it, just to stay together, to be together, and to be able to flourish together. And, that I'll still remember all the times, it's not just our primary anniversary, it's all the other anniversaries of everything that we have done together. And as a result of it, this doesn't change anything. And I will 100% be there for you, at the end of the day, just to have a nice, lovely dinner and everything. At least with that promise. So, we get to the next day where the case starts into motion. Obviously, that's when Shay gets notified that, leadership's pulling out. Olympia can't try on this case. It's going to be Maddie or Bupkis. And obviously, she feels hurt because, again, she was promised by Senior he's got her back. And the fact that everything that's gone wrong since then has gone wrong. And now, she's letting her fate up into Maddie. She may be arrested. She may be barred for something she didn't do legally. And that scares her. That really does scare her. And she, she kind of is really stuck in a corner on this one. We get to the trial itself where Maddie pleads the case. Actually, not yet. Where the PI that supposedly is the whistleblower talks about it. I got in touch with my usual channels. She wants to do business, and specifically with that one. We're in that position. This was our meetup spot. We got the money, and that's it. This is a simple transaction. And you know what? I decided, no, I'm not gonna let someone get punished for something they didn't do. So yeah, I snitched. I blew the lid on it. I may be losing clients, but I'm doing the right thing. And obviously, immediately, Maddie tries to kind of destroy his arguments. What is your real? There's so many circumstances of leaps of we're basing all this claim on circumstantial evidence, but again, the man knows how to speak, the man knows how to talk, and he's proving his matter of she reached out to me, and we made the deal, and I changed my mind and decided to blow the lid on it. So that's also on her on that. So obviously that comes with another penalization as a result of it. From there, I'm gonna go forward and say that Olympia and Julian begin their own road trip, which sadly not even past the state line. They're already all out of food, so which is hilarious to say the least. But they're very strict. They're very powering through to get this done. That's when Olympia accidentally leaks the fact that she might have drinks with someone later, might have a little dinner with someone, and Julian, obviously, despite everything that's happened, still wants her to be happy and still is okay with the idea of her going after another man that isn't him. It does suck for him probably a little bit deep down that the woman you love is interested in someone else. But you know what? Sadly, that's the cadence in life sometimes, especially with divorce matters. And he decides to give her as much assistance as they can to navigate this very different world of dating, which Olympia's I had no idea I needed, but okay, I appreciate it. From there, I'm gonna say so while that's all going on, Hunter and Sarah touch base with that contractor that apparently admitted to his guilt of being responsible for taking shortcuts, and the building inspector who admits that had I just been able to go at this day to the building, maybe people would have been safe. And he's gonna have to live with that for the rest of his life. His assistant comes in, just kind of starting to do a little bit of what we call chismosa, and she gets immediately dismissed. But however, Hunter takes notice of it and decides, okay, this will be. We'll come back to this later on, deciding to go for a cup of coffee while Sarah apologizes to him about Hunter's behavior. But the guy's like, no, Hunter's perfectly chill. He's a great guy, And obviously Sarah gets taken aback with oh, I see another person that likes Hunter and doesn't notice his quirks. So I believe from there, we get back over to the house where Julian and Olympia are posing as, research preservatives, trying to get access to her research so that she can preserve it, and they can preserve it into the larger record so that even though her work may never see a legal light of day, at least the work she done won't be forgotten. However, her husband, now sadly widow, tells them, I'm very sorry to say, but my wife died some years back. So, no, there's nothing I'm able to help you right now. Please leave the premises. And obviously, Olympia and Julian are kind of baffled because, they weren't notified about this. So now they're just oh my God, we're so sorry for your loss, but like we really just want her research to be documented for the record, just so that no one could ever argue the contribution she would have had on society had she been able to like keep going with her work. And that's when another woman shows up to play, and it turns out to be the widow's new wife. And yeah, she knows a little bit about her. Obviously, she never got to meet her specifically, but she does know a good amount of her. And admits like, yeah, no, he's very paranoid. Like there was a lot of like, a lot of things that went wrong after that entire research matter blew up on them. And as a result of it, they didn't really have any other choice on the matter of it. And she said, okay, well, the best I can offer you right now is I can give you all of our research journals, everything that we have in storage, but you can never come back here. There is no more follow-up questions. Even if you find anything that you think he might know or I might know, no. Like, we are not going to, like, no, just never come back here. And obviously they agree to do it. That's when Maddie chimes in with them. They're reading the books, and like, yeah, there was apparently some sort of like very aggressive involvement from another party, indicating that like the research needs to be dropped. Otherwise things will happen. Including the phrases like, I forgot what the phrase was, but it was essentially like, um, I forgot what it was. Essentially a threat of saying like, like you will know when someone's not happy with you, essentially speaking. But of course they'll keep reading on it on the way back, and then they'll report back to Maddie with what their findings is. A little case of paranoia hit them as they notice a car following them for a bit, so they pull like doing different turns, and thankfully it wasn't that case. But they're a little concerned like maybe someone might be after them now, which I'm like, well, considering the fact of so many close calls you had, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the matter of case with that one. I believe Maddie touches base with the research team with Sarah and Hunter of like what could they do now, what could be their next approach. Obviously next is going to be Shay on the stand. Maybe they can definitely try to get somebody on that. Actually, no, that's the next day. Never mind. I believe so they're pitching their case. This is all the research they presented to Maddie, what they found. So it wasn't that much. They do have some potential angles they could take it in, but Hunter does label one possibility to go back all the way to the original case matter, where like apparently there was a they were working with one of the construction companies were working with a different construction company in terms of a loophole that they can get out of paying any debts if they can clear this one company as like non-viable for selective action. So if they can prove this entire case is falsified, they might be able to lose that entire money owed to them. And that's kind of what that's kind of the guesstimation, like where they might possibly be able to go next. And Maddie decides to run with that as her next piece of her case. And while she leaves, obviously Sarah gets mad at Hunter of like, why didn't you tell me you went under like another undercover matter? And he's like, because you're a bummer. I why should I tell you? Like, because we're gonna get into a fight, or you're gonna hate me, you're gonna make some snide. I don't want that. I just want to be able to do something, tell Maddie about it, and leave it like that. That's all I ever wanted. And obviously Sarah gets taken aback of like, huh, okay. So I think from that point, where are we back from there? Yeah, we had Maddie returns back to the courthouse for now Shay to go on the stand, and Shay goes off on Maddie's like, why are you eating? We should be focusing on my case. Like, I might be going to prison. I might be getting, having my entire life thrown apart. And Maddie's like, shut up. Like, she actually blows up in her face, like, well, obviously using the angerness in herself that she wasn't able to abide to Edwin's want for the 50th anniversary for them. That she's here spending her time with her, and like, that she doesn't want to be here either, but like she has no choice. And all Shay's doing is constantly complaining and not letting her work and doing her damn best. And that's when Shay calms down and kind of tells her a little bit about herself. That life hasn't exactly gone her way, where she had a college boyfriend, very seriously involved with him, but however, he wanted kids down the road. Shay didn't. She didn't view kids as like something she ever wanted, so they broke up over that. And then came into the pandemic, where she was engaged at the time, and she could have been married. She could have already had a happy life, but her fiance still was pushing, I want to have kids down the road. Maybe not today, but like down the road, maybe you could have a change of heart. And Shay was very appalled by this, and obviously they broke up, and now having her heart broken again by like a firm that like has been the lifeline of her entire life, being potentially having that cease to exist. Like, it doesn't sit well for her specifically on that, because all she wants to do is to keep working, to keep doing what she's doing. But now she may not have a platform for that anymore. And even if she does, can she even trust him anymore? So it definitely has a lot of plays in that one. And Maddie does feel for her and definitely wants to like double down on things now with the case. And now that Shay's on the stand, she's trying to plead her case of like, this is all circumstantial. This has nothing to do with anything. I had nothing to do with it. I live a very traditional life. I just want to do things by the book. And then the prosecutor shows that her phone records where they were tracing her phone. It's to the point like it goes to the marina where the PI is stationed out of. So all too much coincidental, which I'm like, even for me, it's like, so the PI was claiming that Shay went for his usual channels to get in touch with him, and they only had their meeting at that restaurant. Why would she go down to the marina? That's the thing. If he was like that's a little confusing, to be honest with me, in my opinion. But no, yeah, no. From that point, yeah, no. So, Shay kind of is stuck for a loop because like, again, she knows how this works. Like, she knows how the odds are stacked against. Like, even painting a negative picture, even if it's falsified, it still is very difficult to erase in the minds of the jurors. So I believe from there, so they're kind of now stuck in the coop again of like, what can they really do about this? And that's when thankfully, they do find some. Well, as you know, we end that night with like Maddie's defeated. She's kind of like stuck in a loophole. And I forgot, before she leaves for the day, the wolf comes to her and tells her like, "Hey, look, officially as of tomorrow, well, Jacobson Moore's taking a loss on Shay. Like, do what you need to do to close out the case. Just make sure Shay gets her plea deal, and that's it. And then after that, she's no longer working with the company. We're done." And Maddie's appalled by this again. She wants to be able to give Shay the fighting chance she deserves, but sadly, this is something that it's a little over her head. And when she goes back home, obviously, she missed even the make-up dinner with Edwin, and Edwin also wrote her a letter about just how his opinions are. We're like, yeah, no, he was mad and sad, and then he was briefly happy of like maybe he'll be able to, get another opportunity to like at least get somewhat of a meal with her. And then obviously the time period came and went, and he decided, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna just go hang out with some of my Italian class friends and enjoy ourselves on our 50th anniversary. And again, he's more than right to have that reaction, to be honest with you. We cut to the next day where Maddie and Olympia are touching base again. Obviously Olympia's working through reading the journal, trying to find any, passages that might be able to help them out with like finding out their next, lead. And in the intermediate, Maddie's just trying to figure out how to wrap up Shay's case properly. And while they're talking, Maddie does get a revelation about things. And when she goes back to the trial room, there's a new witness, even though like wasn't on the record. This should have been the day Maddie would have submitted in the deal for a plea deal for Shay, but she brings up that specific person who originally had nothing really to do with the grand scheme of things. He claims that I worked with like this firm like one time. That's about it. The construction firm that was at fault here, and that was it. But other than that, it was just the one on the paper direct business connection. And Maddie then proves the motion of like, oh really? Then what about all these other contracts right here? Yes, you're right. That company isn't on the name here, of course, but they're all related to a cousin of the person that owns the company in question. Sorry about that. So how do you explain that? Like, so it's like, it's very within record that potentially, yeah, maybe you did work with them before, just in an indirect sort. You can deny it now, but you know what? I will subpoena for the record to get all of them, and let's see what comes. And obviously he gets sweat bullets. The prosecutor calls for a recess. And yeah, the PI admits that, okay, yes, I falsified my claims. These were all made up. I'll take the leech pin for that. And obviously now the whole case is being dropped against Shay, and a new case is forming against him. So, honestly, thankfully Shay is going to be, at least for the time being, not being sent to prison. So definitely it is a win for the team. Thankfully everyone's celebrating, and the wolf was watching the whole thing. And it's like, oh, damn, like, okay. I see you, Maddie. I see you, Madlock. Um, and then by the end of the night, I think everyone's coinciding again. Maddie does get to see Edwin again, and tries to get an understanding of him, of like where things are at with them. Like, is everything okay? Is everything all right? And was like, it will be, but I'm still gonna be hurt. I'm still gonna be upset. This is how we had to spend our 50th, and we'll take it one step at a time, moving forward. But at least for the time being, again, hopefully everything works out during the weekend, and they'll be able to properly enjoy a very lovely, a very nice dinner together. But we'll see how that goes. If, obviously him throwing some shade at her about everything that's happened. Olympia was on her way out that evening as well from the previous night, and she obviously meets up with the guy for drinks and dinner, like as they promised. And then the guy has a friend that comes in, like borrowing back some keys or something like that, and Olympia gains a crush on him instantly. Which I'm like, Olympia. Do you not have commitment, like, to even your crushes? Like, damn, this is just something else. I'm just being honest with that. Um, I don't think there's anything else with Julian's matter on it as well. I know Maddie does have another sit down with the wolf, not sit down, like a low down with the wolf, and the wolf's like, okay, you managed to get Shay what she wanted, and in the same timely fashion that Jake and Moore offered you. It's not what we wanted specifically, but you got it done. All right, Maddie, I see you. Today's victory, that's great. But keep in mind that, sometimes, you never know what's going to happen. And just the exact wording of it, when she takes it back to Olympia and Julian, they compare with the notes, and that specific statement was on the notes as well. And it was from a mysterious contact that's been threatening her, like, you need to stop what you're doing and drop this research. And now they can kind of connect the dots. Like, it's him. He was the one, like, representing Senior to get this research thing thrown out in a safer regard. Now, this is the focus of, like, we need to focus on this now. We need to get this guy to flip on Senior if we have any chance of, like, proving this entire thing is falsified. And then to wrap it up, I forgot there was one more. Yeah, Sarah and Hunter, like, touch base about everything, and Sarah expresses, like, she's not really mad at Hunter specifically. She's just mad at, like, not having the connection she used to have with her family anymore, with her work family. And then Hunter's in the middle of, like, relishing in, all these opportunities and everything. But Hunter's like, that's just me. You don't have to get mad over me or anything. I'm pretty sure both of them still have their own genuine feelings for you. It's just the circumstances it is what it is, but you never know. Maybe it'll be rectified sooner than later, which Sarah does take kindly. And with all that being said, that was it for this week's episode of Madlock. I love seeing the wolf again. I love seeing my Feds people representing. I love him so much. I really hope he's going to be a mainstay for the rest of the season. I really do. Please don't just, like, finish it off next week and then be done with him. I really don't want that to be the case. But we'll see how that goes as we progress forward into things. Shay kind of getting the folk being the case of the week. Not what I was expecting, but you know what? I think getting a little bit more of the human element of her, because, at least, like, kind of like the way that her character's been perceived since the first episode we saw her in, she was just kind of like a soulless, robot that doesn't have anything to really say or do besides, like, causing situations for our leads. But her now being in the victim chair, her now, like, being able to kind of have, like, a platform, an episode to kind of, like, express her backstory and kind of make us as the audience understand it comes from somewhere. It's not something that entirely is just based on, like, the lack of emotions, mind you. It is something that kind of is rooted in something else. I love seeing Olympia and Julie kind of, like, exploring this new post-divorce life together. It's not that toxic. It's very healthy. Obviously, they got a larger case to handle with Maddie, but, like, having these moments of, like, just chiming in on, like, how the other is doing, and, like, Julian just being a very friendly guy and just, like, wanting to see the best for Olympia. It was very nice to sweet. It was very nice. And again, the progression with now that we got the journals, not the freaking, I was thinking of, like, Julian's actor and journals. I'm like, that takes me back. But no, now just seeing them, like, really make a big step where, like, now it's back on the home front. That's kind of where they need to take this matter next. And, we'll see as a result, what comes of May with that one. But with all that being said, I'm giving this episode 2 thumbs up. Let me know down below, what did you think of this week's episode of Matlock? Did you love it? Did you like it? Let me know down below. I would love to have a conversation with you about it. But I believe that's going to do it for me today, everyone. So if you're unaware, this has been What's the Two from ActionX, reviewing every episode in the second season of Matlock. If you want to know what we're doing normally on What's the Two besides our Matlock episode reviews. Right now, we normally would do rookie episode reviews each and every week after brand new episodes on ABC. But we also have a special one-off seasonal review for One Piece Season 2 that I believe went live just a couple days ago. I'm kind of weird on the timeline of it all. Yeah. But if you don't care about Matlock, you're in luck. We'll be back hopefully soon with another episode review for you. No ETA on that one yet. We're just playing it by ear right now, so stay tuned for that. But again, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't yet, like, fair, share if you want to. Ring that bell and follow social media for more. But until we see each other again, thank you so much for watching. Please stay safe out there. Be good to each other. And as always, peace out.